Bizarre Reality Media. The reality we live in can be a very strange place. Most of the time, fact being stranger than fiction. How will we ever start to understand this reality we live in unless we question everything? Join me and a guest as we unravel the mysteries of this reality, one topic at a time. This is Inquiries of Our Reality with Shane Jones. What is up, Inquirers, and welcome to the expanse of conversational exploration into the fringes of social norms. I'm the one they call Shane, and today for you guys, I have a guest I've been wanting to get on the show for a while, Tony Arterburn, CEO of Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Exchange, here to break down the significance of precious metals and the transformative potential of cryptocurrencies in today's economy due to the risks and downfall of fiat currency. But before we get into this fascinating episode, which he definitely breaks down for you guys, because I'm sure that sounds like a lot of complicated concepts, but he does a great job of breaking it down and making it so everybody can understand. But yeah, before we get into that fascinating conversation, we of course have to talk about the quick news and updates. Not too many today, just first and foremost, if anybody is interested in catching the next live episode of Bizarre Inquiries, that'll be happening November 6th at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there on the Bizarre Reality Media YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble channels. And if you guys have any questions, clips, or articles you guys would like to submit for that, just make sure you get it to us before that. And if not, we will just pass them on to the next episode, of course. And if anyone is interested in still winning a free t-shirt of their choice off of the Bizarre Reality Media merch store, all you guys have to do is fill out a quick 8-question survey, all your guys' thoughts and opinions, all pertaining to the show. And if you guys don't mind taking that couple minutes to do that, I would greatly appreciate it on a personal level. It's all questions that'll help the show grow and improve as we go through the years. So if you guys don't mind taking that extra second to put a thoughtful response in, again, I would really appreciate it. And all else fails, you might end up winning a free t-shirt of your choice, again, off of the store. And that'll be going on until we reach about 50 entries. Currently, it is at about 25, so you guys definitely have time to do it. And if you guys are interested in doing that, that link is available down in the show description. And if anyone is interested in being a guest on the show, sharing their experiences or encounters, or contacting me for any reason whatsoever, you guys can do so through email, which is inquiriesofourrealitypodcast@outlook.com, or you guys could always call or text the Bizarre Reality Media hotline, and that number is 313-364-1551, and you guys can call or text that 24/7. And if you guys are interested in supporting the show and supporting my work over here, you guys can always go and check out the Patreon with 2 tiers available: ad-free/early access and full access, which with the full access, you guys get all the video content and you guys also get the 0.5 bonus episodes. A lot of cool stuff going on over there, and always continuing to try to grow over there. And then next, you guys could always go and check out the Bizarre Reality Media merch store with t-shirts just $15.68 plus shipping, which equals out to about $20, which is about average for a shirt now. And you guys can support the little guy in the process, which I greatly appreciate. And next, you guys could always go and donate to the show directly through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, whatever you guys happen to use. Anything you guys might want to contribute to my work and research, I greatly appreciate. And if you guys simply want to be able to get me a coffee or an energy drink to keep me up through the night to be able to edit these episodes for you guys, again, any contribution I greatly appreciate. Value for value, as they say. So if you guys value the show, throw some value back. And again, I would more than appreciate it. And last but not least, you guys can always go and check out the affiliate links with some additional discounts and credits available for you guys. And I know that times can definitely be tough out there, and I completely understand that. As like most of us, all of us are going through a financial struggle at this current time. So if you guys would still like to support the show in some other ways, you guys could always take the time to go and leave a review or rating for the show on any podcatcher you happen to use. And once I find it, I will read on the show and give you guys a big shout out. And if you guys don't mind leaving some 5-star reviews, it'll continuously push the show up and make it so that more people are able to see it. And in return, I will hopefully be able to get some more awesome guests on the show for you guys. So the more exposure, the bigger the guests, the better better the conversation. So that's hopefully what I'm going for you guys. And next, you guys could always go and follow the show on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Interact with me. I definitely love talking to you guys and interacting with you guys. And next, you guys could always share the show through word of mouth with any friends, foes, enemies. Doesn't matter. As long as you think they might listen to the show, share the show with them, of course. And then you guys can also go and catch live shows and video content on the Bizarre Reality Media YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch channels. And last but not least, you guys can always go and check out my other show, Bizarre Encounters with Shane and Oren, deep diving into a lot of the same topics over here, but it's a lot more of our research and less the interviews. So if you guys like that format, you guys like some jokes along the way, and you guys are looking for another podcast to get you through the week, always worth going and checking out. And again, I would greatly appreciate it on a personal level. And every single thing that I mentioned is all available in the link tree, which is available down in the show description. And with that, let's get into the show. Please welcome to the show, owner and CEO of Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Exchange. Please welcome to the show, Tony Arterburn. How's it going today, man?
It's going great. I'm glad we were able to finally do this and everything lined up. I'm sorry we scheduled before, and I had business. If you've seen the metals markets lately and everything, I've had to delay and postpone stuff. So I'm glad we're able to do this finally.
Oh, man, that's just part of, I guess, being part of the community, man. Stuff pops up, stuff happens, but I always say, man, shows happen when they're supposed to happen. So if it wasn't intended to happen last week, it might just be for some other reason that we might end up getting into something interesting today. So like I said, everything lines up for a reason, man. But
I believe that.
Absolute pleasure to actually get you on, have a conversation with you after hearing about you on so many different shows. For any of my listeners that may be familiar with Charlie Robinson, who's a semi-regular guest on the show, probably made like 8 appearances at this point. You're one of the main people he ends up talking about in the beginning of his show. So I figured it was about time that I had you come on my end and we could talk about what you do.
Well, that's a privilege to have Charlie Robinson mention me. And he always says the greatest things about me. I remember once I was feeling kind of down, and I turned on a podcast of his, and he just mentioned me, and it was like 3 minutes telling his audience, he's like, what a great guy. And he's the most interesting man in the world. He's like, screw the Dos Equis guy. You got to meet Tony. And I was thinking, wow, because you look at Charlie's background, you realize what a serious person this is. Like, this is a man who works extremely hard, massive character, the intellect. I mean, the books he's written, the shows he's done, and the integrity, because he really believes this stuff. I mean, he really believes in what he's trying to get people to think, and to analyze reality. It's so I wanted to give a shout out to Charlie, just being mentioned by him. And yeah, I'm in good company if he's been on your show that many times.
Dude, Charlie's one of the greats, man. Anytime he comes on, we have no script, no idea what we're necessarily going to get into, but we always have a million different things to get into because he's one of those people, man. He's just got a million different perspectives on a million different things because he's done so many different things.
It's amazing.
It's crazy. I don't know how you have that much time in the day to accomplish as much as that guy does, but
I don't know either. I mean, if you really drill down to it, it's like the guy gets so much done. I just don't know how he does it, but he is amazing. He's an asset to our planet and everything that we do.
Well, I guess kind of talking about stuff that people do, we definitely have to start talking about what you do over on your end with Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Exchange. So for anybody that may not be familiar with who you are exactly, what you do, why don't you fill them in a little bit on what exactly you got going on over there, man?
Well, I've likened it to, I used to fill in on InfoWars a long time ago, back in 2019, 2020. I'd fill in for David Knight. And one time I made an analogy as like when I would host his show, he would come on before Alex. And it's a 3-hour show. And I would tell David, I would say, I treat your show like I borrowed your Cadillac, and I respect you. So I'm returning it with a full tank of gas. And, I'm better off than when I borrowed it. But my own life and my businesses is kind of like the Dukes of Hazzard car. I just trying stuff. I'm going to see if I can jump over this ravine. I'm going to see if we can survive. And I'm very fortunate. I got into this stream of history, that two colliding things, because I've always been interested in history. I'm a veteran of 3 foreign wars, and I've talked about this on many shows, but combat vet, I was a paratrooper in the Army, and got to do the post 9/11 stuff. I was in the military right before 9/11. So I saw a lot of interesting things, Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that. So being part of foreign policy and history that was happening on the ground. And so I got to live that. And then I also love history, started intaking that. And by 2013, I was 33. I decided to run for Congress and finally go. I'd always wanted to do something on the radio. So I got on radio in Dallas at one of the older AM stations, at Conservative Talk. And they thought they were getting like, oh, we're getting a vet. He's a combat vet. And so I think they thought that I was going to be, I don't know, some sort of like beat the drums for war or be some kind of Dan Crenshaw type person. But I'm Ron Paul and anti-war and all this stuff. And
it's funny how most vets are.
It's like right before Trump, it's like right before, and I was talking about bad trade deals and having a border and not a new world order, all this stuff. And I got into the genre of what I do now early, and then just through God's grace, really, and I mean, you can call it luck, but it's more or less like just, I think, I called it God's mercy or grace or whatever, just whatever lined up to where I realized that there's two things I'm primarily interested in, and that's hidden history, alternative history, parapolitics, and precious metals, and that really goes back to when we talk about the origins of the Federal Reserve or the creature from Jekyll Island and all that stuff, and how that's like the ground zero of all things that emanate into this strange world we live in now, whether it's bankers' wars or corruption or the deep state. It all goes back to fake money. So I was able to self-sponsor. And so this fusion of what I do, which is, I'm not afraid to talk about, I love to talk about Charlie Robinson, but my friend Donald Jeffries, who wrote Hidden History, I do a show with him every Saturday called America Unplugged. I used to just read his books. I didn't even know him. And we got on the same station and became good friends. And we've done hundreds of episodes together now. And so I get to talk to these really amazing people and dig into history and try to find the truth and the nature of reality. And at the same time, I've been able to build physical gold and silver locations, and then being a dealer with a subscription program and all this stuff. So I'm able to sponsor programs of people that I believe in, because I believe in free speech and the free exchange of ideas and the search for the truth. And so these things have gone together, and I'm surprised by it every day. But you have to think about how strange reality is with that, because you get into this realm of talking about what's, everything that's going on. Like Alex Jones is funny because I don't know if you listen to the podcast, Our Big Dumb Mouth, but they always play.
Yeah, of course. Love those guys.
Midnight Mike. I mean, it's my favorite show. It's my favorite show. And I listen to it. I mean, I'll let it play, especially at night, and I'll let it play just to relax to it. But they always have these clips of Alex Jones saying, "It's all happening." And I think it is all happening. And I get to be front row seat, for good or ill. I mean, I'm in it now. I mean, I can't shy away from it. I've crossed the Rubicon. So I'm very much known, I'm sure, by the lizard folk. I've made an impression. So I love what I do. I get to help people get out of fiat currency, which I believe is a satanic evil thing that robs you of your energy and devalues things, that it makes you work harder and harder to make less and less. And I get people out of that and get them into things that you would consider money through all of human history, like gold and silver. Or I even have, if you look at the sign behind me, I've got Wise Wolf Gold, Silver, Bitcoin. That's my newest venture here in Texas. I took over an old branch bank that was an old Bank of America. And so it's funny, and we're in downtown Denison, Texas. We got Wise Wolf, gold, silver, Bitcoin. I didn't think I'd be doing that when I started this. I didn't think, I'm just trying new stuff. But we have a drive-through, and I'm like, hey, I've got a drive-through. I can help you get out of your Luciferian bankster notes, as I call them, LBNs, and put you in some precious metals. So I really, really am grateful. I get to do what I do, and I talk to people like you, and we get to just hash out ideas, and I have no filter because
that's
I just believe what I believe. Well, yeah. So I love what I do, and it's all the media and things that I get, and great shows like I get to be on. It's just a privilege. So yeah, anything that you want to talk about, brother, I'm open. I've last time I did Tinfoil Hat, I don't know if we even talked about metals till the end. I think I plugged like 2 minutes, and it was like an hour and 45. So,
well, I don't think that I've discussed the whole idea of why metals are so important. I know that I've had Charlie on a few times, kind of skimming it a little bit and kind of talking about it a little bit, but you're the first person I've had on that's what you particularly do. So for anybody that may not understand what the importance is of starting to switch over your currency into actual precious metals, why don't you kind of lay down why it's so important for people?
Well, the term that we use for modern money is fiat currency. And I try to get people to understand there's a difference between currency and money, okay? Now, they can be the same thing because money can actually circulate, but that's not what modern currency is. Modern currency is not money. Modern currency is an idea. It's just by decree, and they say so, and especially since 1971, when Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard. So the reason that's important is because when you have an infinite thing and the money printer becomes the center, like we're always waiting to see what the Fed's going to do. Is the Fed going to cut rates? Is the Fed going to inject whatever into monetary policy? Is the Fed going to raise rates? Are they going to try to constrict the money supply? It's not a natural thing that happens in a free market or any sort of real system that would incentivize freedom, because you have to have something that they call it sound money, which for gold and silver, not necessarily just because it's sound and it's intact and has integrity, because it actually makes a distinct sound. And I always thought, wow, that's really interesting, because you look at what gold and silver represent, and they represent work, energy, finite. There's only so much gold and silver on the planet. And if you look at all the gold that's ever been mined and how scarce of a resource that is, it'll blow your mind, because you start thinking, well, you go back to when we went off the gold standard in 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. And the other day we crossed $4,300 an ounce for gold. But what if I told you that gold really hasn't gone up? Like, it doesn't necessarily buy more today than it did 100 years ago. Gold housed that value, and like it would buy about the same amount of clothes or grocery or fuel or land that it did 100 years ago. But the currency divorced from it and decoupled from it. And so anyway, it becomes more and more ubiquitous and loses more and more purchasing power. And the dollar's lost 50% of its purchasing power against gold in the last year alone. So if you're holding dollars and you're part of that system, which is insidious, you're having to work harder and harder and do more and more and keep up with, I got to put this in this, I got to have this investment or this thing. It didn't used to be that way, and the country wasn't founded on that. And no real true free market or great, strong economy is based off of fiat currency. Great empires rise on sound money and economic nationalism, which means they make things. And empires decline on fiat currency and free trade. And I'm against the free trade policies. I'm for free markets, but modern free trade policies, as we come to see them, are really the Trojan horse for global government. So I've been against that for a long time. And I like, in theory, I like things like tariffs, although we've seen kind of a funhouse mirror version of them the last year or so, and it's just making the markets whipsaw, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense. It's more like weaponization of the dollar.
Hold on tight, guys. We'll be right back after this brief commercial break.
Despite wintry conditions and heavy traffic, the holidays have to go on. That's why Mercedes-Benz SUVs come equipped with the latest safety technology to keep your festive plans on track. Discover the incredible offers for yourself at the Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration.
Yo, it's the Cruise Show. If you've been injured in a car accident, a slip and fall, a work incident, or even an assault, DTLA Law Group is here to fight for you. Visit calldowntown.com.
Or text injury help to 40222. DTLA Law Group has over 40 experienced attorneys and has won over $500 million in settlements. No upfront cost, only pay if you win. Get your free case review right now. Visit calldowntown.com or text injury help to 40222.
That's text injury help to 40222. Injury help to 40222. Text message rates may apply. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
When the sun sets, the city transforms, the skyline glows, the energy surges, and the night comes alive. At the heart of it all is the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas, a luxury resort destination where bold experiences unfold. From a one-of-a-kind restaurant collection to sleek cocktail lounges and hidden speakeasies, and a vibrant nightlife scene that captivates perceptions, and suites with private terraces featuring breathtaking views of the iconic Vegas skyline. Every moment invites indulgence. Book your stay now at cosmopolitanlasvegas.com.
Now back to the show.
But what gold and silver represent is the ability for you to go and do work or make whatever you make. And at the end of the day, if you house that in actual money, then you house that energy. Because if you would have been saving in gold and silver and not saving in dollars, you've retained your savings. So it's really about, it's not necessarily, gold and silver aren't necessarily an investment, although you can do really well if you invest in them. They're really about protecting you from geopolitical uncertainty, from inflation, from debasement, from corruption, and other things, because the counterparty risk, like, I'll see if I got one with me. This is a gold American Eagle. It's 1 ounce of gold right here. I had on my desk. We bought earlier before the shop closed. And that's worth about $42,500 today. So, you know, you think about that. This was $35 in 1971. So we've come a long way. And this houses your energy. This houses all of your work. And you put it away and just let it sit there. And I don't have a bank that's tied to this. I don't have to worry if the accounting firm that whatever multinational corporation uses is skimming or cooking the books or whatever. That's counterparty risk. You've seen an Enron, right? We've seen WorldCom. We've seen Lehman Brothers. We saw all that stuff. Or any just most of the stocks that are traded today are, you know, we don't really know whether they're sound or not. But I've got this. And I know I've got $4,300 worth of value, give or take, right? So that's counterparty risk is resolved with me having the physical gold and silver, or if I have my own Bitcoin wallet that's not associated with an exchange, and I hold the keys. That's a big step in self-sovereignty. So I think it's an important part of understanding how money works, is then you kind of understand how reality works and how much of your resources and your energy have been robbed from you and what they're able to do. And those who are in closest proximity to the money printer have an incentive to keep this system going. If you remember, Donald Rumsfeld famously went, and Charlie has this on the intro to his show on macroaggressions, we can't track $2.3 trillion. That was on September 10th, 2001. And Donald Rumsfeld said, well, we got this new office that we're going to put up at the Pentagon. And the next day, whatever hit the Pentagon, it was hit the accounting office. So, you know, I look at the amount of corruption and the amount of lies that we have to wade through. Gold and silver and sound money cut through that a lot. They cut out a lot of the BS, and it's not a perfect world because, you know, silver we've seen has been manipulated since I've been born. I mean, we just recently last week crossed silver's all-time high, and it was 45 years in the making. It took it that long to hit another all-time. I can't think of one commodity that they did, but they really tried hard to suppress silver, and I think it's out of their hands now. I don't think they can do it anymore. So it really is a part of this story, like this stream of history that we're in, if you want to call it, or a fourth turning, right? There's a book called The Fourth Turning that came out in 1995 by Strauss and Howe, and it talked about how about every 80 years there's an upheaval, and there's four separate turnings, so every 20 years, but every 80 years, the Romans called it the secularum, and this is major upheaval in society, and you can see that cycle going back through into the Great Depression. World War II was the last fourth turning. Before that was the Civil War, and before that was the American Revolution. So we have these turnings that are going on, plus you add in things like Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030, and then you realize, hey, they're on some sort of cyclical, they're watching the timeline, they're actually reading into this and then trying to steer this thing. And you realize they call it a great reset. So right now, if and I do this all the time, so what I tell people is they put out these phrases like great reset, and they say you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, and all the World Economic Forum, and they'll put little taglines out like that. But what does that really mean? It means that there's a great transfer of wealth, unlike anything seen in human history. And they realize that this thing that they built since 1971, which is the fiat system, is built on lies, and it's fake. And it's just growing, it's metastasizing, and it's in everything. I think supposed world assets, if you want to even call them that, are like 500 trillion. And then there's like 400 trillion in debt, or maybe it's just on parity now where it's about 500 trillion, who knows? But it's bankrupt on paper. I mean, all over the globe, because all these governments just get into an issue, they hit the print button, and they print more of their currencies. And so all these unfunded liabilities, all the rest of it. Meanwhile, those who know are scrambling to pick up what's real, what's finite. And you can see that in the central bank buying of gold. You can see that with Russia making silver a strategic reserve asset. These things are happening in real time. And the average person just does not see that. And it's not because they're stupid. It's just the system itself gets you not to look at that. I don't know if you've ever, I brought this up a bunch of times on other shows, but it always fascinates me. Are you familiar with a document called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars?
I'm familiar with the name, but I'm not familiar with what exactly it entails.
Well, it's an interesting story. This really happened. So in 1986, somebody was at an estate sale, and they bought an IBM copier. And inside the IBM copier, when they got it back to their office or wherever they took it, was a document that somebody had made a copy. So the original was still in it. And it was a technical manual called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And it was dated May 1st, 1979. And it's really interesting. Now, whether it's a fake or whether it was some sort of plant or whatever, or a copy of a copy or something else, the opening chapter, and again, it welcomes the person who's reading it, welcome aboard. It's like an overview of, hey, you're going to join the Illuminati, and we want to show you what we're actually doing. And the first chapter is about money as energy, and how to extract energy from people by using fake money. And then all the while, the folks that are doing that are buying real assets. That's why the income disparity and the wealth gap continues to grow and grow and grow, because there's a magic trick done. Well, we used to have, the father could go and have a job and then get a house and a car. And, there was the ability for the wife to stay home. There was enough income, it was one income family and all the rest of that. That goes along with sound money or a production economy, the way that it was intended, especially post-industrial revolution. But this sleight of hand where now everybody has to work, and you're working more hours and you're working more jobs and you're doing all this other stuff, and you can't get ahead because, well, that's the system. It's meant to do that. It's meant to rob you. So those who know are buying more and more assets. And those who don't know are just working harder and harder for green pieces of paper. And by the way, I work hard for green pieces of paper. I have to have them. I have to have the Luciferian banks or notes. We all pay bills with them. But the issue is, if you have the mindset and you know that that system is rigged against you, you'll start thinking differently and making other adjustments to your life that you can mitigate your suffering, if you will. But it's an interesting story. I always tell people that whether that document, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, and it was in Bill Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse, by the way, whether that's real or not is not really the issue, but that concept is what's going on today. And I highly recommend people going out and looking at it.
Say that's one of the hard things too, is that when people are so fine-tuned into that normal schedule work life that you don't see these things, and they purposely try to set you up so that you aren't able to take the time to actually look at these things. Because if people actually did take the time to realize it, they would realize that we're all essentially debt slaves to these people, and that the same way our government system functions is the same way that these company stores used to function, is that there's no real back to any of it. It's just a matter of, you can spend this money within our guidelines, within the products that we want to be able to give you. So it's already trapping you within this system. And again, people are always being pushed into this materialistic view of the world, that they got to be doing better than their neighbor, got to be doing better than this guy, got to be doing better than this guy. So they continue down this rat race grind to be able to keep trying to make more money as they're losing the most valuable resource, which is time, which is, you can never essentially ever get that back. And you're trading it for this paperback currency that, as you're creating it and as you're getting it, it's depleting in value as time goes on, which goes into the whole thing with gold, that at least it sustains its value. Whether it was, like you mentioned, 100 years or today, it's worth the same amount of goods that it would be able to get transferred for. But if you had, $100 a year saving up cash, not putting it in the bank system as they try to trick you to do so that they can invest it and collect interest on it, blah, blah, blah. If you're just sitting there holding all your dollars, it's essentially just going to keep sitting there and depleting in value. And a lot of the stuff that people are even tricked to investing into, which is, a lot of this updated technology, computers, cars, all this stuff, all this materialistic stuff that people are tricked into buying, that also just continuously depletes in value. So you're continuously working harder and harder to make more money to be able to sustain this lifestyle, as every single thing that you buy in that lifestyle is depleting in value and not holding anything. And you're just giving up, again, your one essential resource you can never get back, and that's your time.
So key. And then there's a scene, and have you ever seen the second Wall Street, called Money Never Sleeps?
Yeah.
I love the Gordon Gekko character, especially in the original. Oliver Stone's dad was a stockbroker, and he made Wall Street, the original, in 1987 with Charlie Sheen, and it has Gordon Gekko, GG. And it's an interesting character. He talks in the first movie, there's some great taglines, and greed is good and all that stuff. And he talks about the magic trick that they're playing. Nothing's real. He says in the first movie, I don't make anything. I own. I don't produce anything. And I always thought that was interesting. But the second one is alluding to what you just said, because he goes to prison, and this is the time in the movie is set for like the 2008 financial crisis, and is right on the precipice of that. And he's on a subway with Shia LaBeouf, with character, when he says, I used to think the most important resource in money was information. And now I realize it's not. It's time. It's time. And that the time is the most, we are working harder and harder, and we're separating ourselves from living by trying to keep up, like you said, and the materialistic, and what you buy depreciates in value, and the leverage. Every time you swipe your credit card, that's debt creation that creates new currency. Every time you get a home loan, that's not a reserve pulled from somewhere. They make that new currency units up. So that's new currency pumped into the system. That's the system which we live. We used to have fractional reserve banking, which is bad in and of itself. It's like, well, I've got 10% of deposits, and I can loan out, if I got $1 million in deposits, I can loan out 100 million, or whatever it is, or, even if it's times 10. But they don't even do that anymore. And that's why I looked at the headlines on Drudge today. $38 trillion that the United States owes. That's just what we know of. That's not the unfunded liabilities. That's just $38 trillion. We had $1 trillion in debt every 90 days. Now, when I was born in 1979, at the end of 79, the country, the U.S., it had taken it from 1776 to 1979 to go almost $1 trillion in debt. So we're about $1 trillion in debt when I arrive on the planet. And now we go $1 trillion in debt every 90 days. So the system itself is unsustainable. You talk about the debt load, the amount of liability, the amount of leverage, and that's a key word in all of this is leverage. You have to pay a price for that eventually. And we've used the dollar, we've weaponized it. We have 40 different sanctions on 36 different countries, probably more now. Trump's certainly using the dollar as a weapon, threatening the tariffs, or if people don't use the dollar, other countries. But the other countries are de-dollarizing it at an alarming rate. And so as this happens, what we've come to understand is this stability in our currency will be tested and is being tested. And so that's why you see these historic trends going on while the financial networks and the hairdos and the teleprompter readers don't really get it. Or if they do, they're just reading a script. You know, anybody can really see, like, we're not the same country. This isn't the same economy. A lot of these companies that are out that are being traded publicly aren't really even chasing profit anymore. There's something called you have the push by BlackRock for ESG, which is environmental social governance. Larry Fink from BlackRock has come out and said, we can change behavior through financial systems. This is like a direct quote that he had. And you look at BlackRock buying up massive amounts of residential housing and everything, especially since 2020.
Inquiries of Our Reality will be right back after this brief commercial break, so stay tuned.
The people of Palestine have faced an unrelenting humanitarian crisis. Islamic Relief USA has been on the ground for decades, providing over 1 million people with vital medical aid, more than 7 million hot meals, and over 31 million liters of clean water, shelter, clothing, bedding, hope. You can help make a difference. Visit irusa.org to learn more and support emergency response efforts. That's irusa.org.
Hey, Jay Leno here. The Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel and myself have partnered to give away a brand new Lexus GX 550 every Thursday in November. Club Serrano members can play all month long for a chance to win and go off-roading in this powerful and stunning SUV. And the cool part is, just hose it off afterwards. Your mom will never know you took it in the dirt.
Guys, you in? Yeah, me too. Okay.
Details at Yamava.com. Must be 21 to enter. Please gamble responsibly.
I know you're listening to me right now wearing glasses and contacts. I used to be one of you, and I myself had LASIK 20 years ago, and I still see better than 20/20. I'm Dr. Avi Surudi, an eye surgeon and a LASIK expert, and I'm so proud to be offering you the brand new WaveLight Plus Z LASIK procedure. With this amazing technology, I'll even guarantee you with 20/20 vision or give your money back. Call 310-474-2010, 310-474-2010.
Now back to the show. All those companies that you see all over the place too, a lot of them I've dived back into further, and they're all owned by BlackRock. Like, we had one called Open Door that was all over Michigan. I don't know if it popped up in other states, but you follow it back down the line and it all leads to BlackRock. Like, so they even trick people into thinking that it's multiple companies buying this stuff up, but it's all the same company.
Well, yes. And so much of the dynastic banking houses, such as the Rothschilds and others, I mean, this is generational wealth that owns so many of the holding companies and banking institutions. And it's like going back to World War I. We have this mortal enemy. We have to go fight the Hun. We have to fight the Germans, and the propaganda that was put into that. And meanwhile, in the United States, the head of the central bank, the first head of the central bank, the Federal Reserve, was Paul Warburg, and his brother was Max Warburg. He was the head of the central bank in Germany. So, a lot of it's like the inside baseball. The bankers' wars continue. They fund both sides, and it's not really about the propaganda or whatever is spewed out. This is about control. This is about reshaping society how they see fit, whether they're funding communism whether they're funding fascism. It doesn't, to them, it makes no difference. It's just about a game and resources and what they can control. So I try to, I dig into that on my show every week. And, there's something in my wheelhouse. I'm constantly thinking about it. So it's interesting, watching this massive transfer of wealth happen now. And, before COVID 1984, the greatest transfer of wealth in our lifetime has been free trade. And that's one of the things when I ran for Congress, I talked about that. I said, look, we're the average worker, the wages go down, but the multinational corporations, their profits are through the roof. And we're putting American workers in some sort of Darwinian contest of survival of the fittest. And we're, using slave labor overseas and pushing the products back through here without an entry fee and all that stuff. And that's not the way the country was designed. I mean, the second act out of Congress in 1789 was the Tariff Act. It was the second thing that we did to protect a fledgling manufacturing economy in the early 19th century. So it's interesting to see that was the greatest transfer of wealth. That's why we have a rust belt. That's why it's rusty. All those jobs left. Ross Perot called it a giant sucking sound. So that was what's going on, especially after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the fall of the Soviet Union, was this massive globalization and the manufacturing capability. Really, the heart and soul of America was just put elsewhere. That we pawned America's soul. And that was a great blow to the American Republic and to the strength of our country and our economy, and the fact that we stopped making things and went to a consumption economy. But the true transfer that would blow your mind is what happened really 2019 to now. 80% of all the dollars ever created were created in the last 5 years. So from all the part of our history to now, the last 5 years have seen the 80% of all those dollars ever made. And these are made on a screen, by the way, because you can't, there's not enough paper to print $1 trillion. Like if you wanted to print 1 trillion $1 bills, and let's say you could do it, and you could you take them and you stretch them end to end, they would go 93 million miles. They would go to the sun. That's if you believe there's a sun and like we're not on a flat earth or whatever. And people are like, there's a firmament. I'm just saying, I'm using the measurement.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, if the model holds, then we can take, 1 trillion of these $1, lay them end to end, and they go to the sun. So, I mean, these are numbers like in time, how long do you think 1 trillion seconds in time ago was? How many years? Just off the top of your head.
Dude, it's one of those weird things where when it comes to these numbers, it's like people don't think about like a million is a million thousands. Like it's kind of hard to like break down in your head because you're just seeing these numbers on paper. But I'm going to assume that it probably was at least a couple hundred years ago, right?
It's 32,000 years.
32,000 years. Yes, I'm way off. See, that's what I'm saying. People don't realize how many single dollars go into these bigger numbers because they're just hearing these bigger numbers getting thrown at them. Like you're talking about the system earlier.
Desensitized to it.
Yeah, exactly.
When I remember I first heard that metric and I go, holy hell, is that right? Well, it is, because 1 billion seconds ago was 32 years and 1,000 billion is 1 trillion. So 32,000 years ago is 1 trillion seconds. So these are numbers that, first of all, it's fake. You're never going to pay it back. But what it does is it creates this debt burden and load on you because there's no fiscal sanity. And, everything's bogged down and weighed against that, and credit ratings and all the stuff, this pressure put down on regular people. And so you can't get ahead in that sort of environment unless you're never really going to truly outpace this thing, but you can mitigate a great deal of the pain. That's my opinion. You can, sovereignty for yourself and peace of mind are more important than things. And I'm not in love with gold and silver. I don't want to be like Scrooge McDuck and then jump, open my vault and jump into the coins. Like, I don't want to do that. First of all, you break every bone in your body.
That's what I was gonna say.
But second of all, I'm in love with it. It's neat. It's a cool thing. There's an ounce of gold. Fine.
I mean, even at the simplest point, it's one of those few things that it doesn't matter what country you go to, what place you go to in the world, it's always going to hold value. You know, I mean, how many times have we already seen different types of dollars just in our lifetime that went from being the regular currency to just being worth absolutely nothing? So, I mean, just off that simple factor, I mean, you can literally freely travel wherever you want, and this will still hold the value that it holds. And even if these systems collapse, every government system collapses, I mean, this piece of precious metal will still hold its value.
Yes, and it has been money through all recorded history, and the gold and silver will be here long after we're gone. And there's so much to. I mean, the history of gold is fascinating. Like the history of metals and how human beings used it as money and recognized it as money. It's something very spiritual, something that's underlying our existence. That's why I don't think any of this is an accident. I believe in God. I'm a spiritual person, and I don't think that this is some, like we're just an accident floating around in space or something. I think there's a purpose to this, and maybe it's a test. I don't know. We don't need to get too philosophical, but in the current environment where we're just inundated with fake, you start looking at things. Like you go on the street and you say, "Hey, do you want $10? Do you want an ounce of silver?" Oh, I'll take the $10. Well, the ounce of silver is worth $50. But you don't know that. Like the average person doesn't know that. Or you want a candy bar, or you want this 1 ounce silver eagle? Oh, I'll take a candy bar. And then you see that all the time. People don't know what money is, and they're getting left behind. Where the elite, they know exactly what money is. They're hand over fist. They're taking fake things and buying real assets with them. And we're seeing that all over the world. And the accelerated rate is alarming. You go back to 2009, the buying of gold by central banks wasn't zero, but it was damn close. And after the 2009 crisis, the GFE or whatever, the great financial, or GFC, Great Financial Crisis, not the girlfriend experience. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess that up. And that's when they realized that, the dollar system's on its way out, so we're going to start stacking. And they've been doing that. We just crossed the metric, I think last week, where central banks around the world now hold more gold than they do U.S. treasuries. And it's just a matter of time before central banks around the world hold more gold than they do U.S. dollars. Right now, it's the dollar and then it's gold. It used to be gold way down here. And in 2021, the Bank of International Settlements said, hey, we're going to make gold a tier 1 asset, which takes it from a commodity to a currency. So it just passed the euro about a year ago. So the euro was second and gold surpassed that. And the European Central Bank said, hey, we got to do something about gold. It's a real threat to the economy. It's a threat to your system, but it's not a threat to the person who wants to be outside of your system. So, that being said, there's a lot of opportunity too. There's a lot of opportunity built into all of this. I don't want to just be, doom and gloom. I think that if you're aware of this and you can see the writing on the wall, which is also, that's a phrase out of the book of Daniel about God's handwriting and it has something to do with the debasement of silver and gold. If you actually read that book in the Bible, it's really interesting. But I think if we're paying attention, those of us who understand that we're in a transfer of wealth right now, and the dollar's not going to go back to being the way it was when we were growing up, and there was some stabilization of it. It took a while to bleed out, and we're in the throes of that right now. If you look at history, the average fiat currency, it lasts about 26 years on average. So if a country creates a currency not backed by anything and they just say, use this as money, it'll last for a little while. And then the average is about 26 years. So we've doubled that because we're the world's reserve currency, and it has something to do with usage and money velocity and stuff that's outside of my pay grade. And maybe it's supposed to sound smart, but you can just chalk it up to a Ponzi scheme. So people still use it, or the petrodollar, or things linked to oil and all the stuff that we did in the 70s that expired last year. So we have this, great reset going on where they're just resetting everything and they're going to leave you holding the bag. That's my theory, is that the average person, and there's going to be a move to digital through stable coins or a central bank digital currency or some sort of hybrid of that. And they always use a crisis to usher in. They use a crisis to precipitate their next move. So just having a little bit of information about how money works and what is money. And by the way, that's a philosophical question that I continue to ask. That's a fascinating conversation. I don't know the guy. There's a guy that has a podcast called What is Money? His name is Robert Breedlove. I don't know him. Fascinating show. And they talk about what is money. And he has a lot of Bitcoiners on, but and not necessarily a lot of gold people. I do both because, and I get flack from Bitcoiners and I get flack from gold people. And I'm like, yeah, but they're all finite. I mean, maybe you disagree on what Bitcoin actually is or the origin story of it. And I don't know. I mean, I can't pretend to know everything about everything. But I just see it in this realm, looking at what is finite and what cannot be replicated easily is a good start to understanding what value is in this contest that we're in against the lizard folk.
I mean, that's what it seems to come down to, man, is, well, I mean, first and foremost, money only holds the value that people put on this particular material. So, I mean, gold, I mean, yeah, it is scarce in the world, but the only reason why it holds the value that it does is because people have an interest in it as a material. So whatever people put their focus on, that's of course going to be whatever like the means of income is. But I mean, kind of moving into this more like digital age, it kind of seems like the way to be able to retain value in something is to make it so that there's only a set amount of it, which is exactly the same way that it seems like gold and silver function through time. And it's the same way that Bitcoin is seeming to work. And I'm not going to pretend like I know too much about as far as like the crypto market or anything like that, but it seems like the reason why Bitcoin has been so successful is because when it was initially created, there was only the set amount of what it was, and now it's kind of been fractured down from there. So it's essentially working the same way gold does, but in a digital variation. But a lot of these other cryptocurrencies, it seems like they're kind of working almost like how the US dollar does, where somebody creates it, people have an interest in it, they just keep reproducing more, and in turn, by producing more, with every single one that you produce, it ends up losing value, not realizing that, again, if some of these markets, as soon as people get an interest in this particular type of crypto coin, only have that set amount and kind of work from there. But that seems to be where this hard spot is really coming in with crypto, that it seems like the main one that's actually holding any value is and forever will be Bitcoin. And all these different governments are trying to recreate their variation of it, but it's just not picking up because it also doesn't have that free market ability to it, where it's not particularly this country's currency or this country's currency. It's like one of the few that functions because it's completely international.
Right.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back after this brief commercial break.
Despite wintry conditions and heavy traffic, the holidays have to go on. That's why Mercedes-Benz SUVs come equipped with the latest safety technology to keep your festive plans on track. Discover the incredible offers for yourself at the Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration.
When the sun sets, the city transforms, the skyline glows, the energy surges, and the night comes alive. At the heart of it all is the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas, a luxury resort destination where bold experiences unfold. From a one-of-a-kind restaurant collection to sleek cocktail lounges and hidden speakeasies, and a vibrant nightlife scene that captivates perception, and suites with private terraces featuring breathtaking views of the iconic Vegas skyline. Every moment invites indulgence. Book your stay now at CosmopolitanLasVegas.com.
Despite wintry conditions and heavy traffic, the holidays have to go on. That's why Mercedes-Benz SUVs come equipped with the latest safety technology to keep your festive plans on track. Discover the incredible offers for yourself at the Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration.
And now back to that deep conversation you crave.
Bitcoin's origin story, it has to be what it is in order for it to be what it's become. And if you don't have that mystery, if you don't have like the decentralization of it, not owned by a company, not owned by a country, not a person, and it's just this decentralized network that people run nodes all over the world and back it up with different systems and all the mining and all the infrastructure that makes the Bitcoin network possible. Without that, then Bitcoin doesn't really exist, or it's just another thing, or it's just another fad. The fact that it's come all this way. I remember I was so broke. I was in 2016. I bought my first Bitcoin ATM. I was in real estate. I had one commission that I was waiting on. I'm like, I'm going to buy an ATM. And then I think Bitcoin was trading at $400. And so I just watched people going in and they were buying Bitcoin in the machine. And so I was like, I got to get one of these. And I wish I had just kept the Bitcoin. But I learned a lot about, I always want to help customers. I build a business and provide something. So I got to know enough to be dangerous about Bitcoin. And what I've watched it do as it's made more and more inroads is transform, I think, the way a lot of younger people think, and even older people, and it's turned them on to what the Fed is and what fiat currency is. And, you look at the structure of the deep state or anything that they use these money printers to do, and Bitcoin's the exact opposite. It's almost like in the Greek tragedies that they would write, the plays and things, they would have this concept of hubris. Hubris would be like the ultimate the ultimate conceit, the ultimate arrogance, and then it would always summon nemesis. So it would summon your destroyer, kind of like Ghostbusters, when they summon the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's the nemesis to, in my opinion, is to what the dollar and what fiat currency has become, this monstrosity. Because when you look at the metrics of it, there's some fascinating figures behind Bitcoin. There's 22 million millionaires in the U.S., just in the U.S. alone. In the world, there's like 58 million millionaires. So give or take, right? Whatever whether I'm right or wrong about that in the realm of reality, I think it's somewhere around there. So there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. And if you take the 4 million that are lost or Satoshi's wallet, so let's say you're at like 16 million that really will ever exist. There's more millionaires on earth than individuals who own $1,200 in Bitcoin. You talk about a scarce resource. I did this. I was running through AI the other day, and I was just like, I need to know how many individuals own at least one Bitcoin on the planet, and it's just over 800,000. So, of the billions of people on the planet, so you can't make more Bitcoin. And so, if every millionaire in the U.S. said, I like to diversify, I like to own at least one Bitcoin, can't. You can't get just one. Not every one of those people can own at least one Bitcoin. That's how scarce it is. So when you see people like Michael Saylor and he's buying thousands and thousands at a time, it really is interesting to watch. And you how this story is going to turn out. I don't give investment advice, and I don't know what the price is going to be. But if you look at the market cap of everything, and like I mentioned earlier, let's just say there's 400 trillion in liquid assets supposedly around the world. That's real estate, currencies, sovereign wealth funds, all this stuff. So let's say there's 400 trillion. The market cap for gold's about 20 trillion, and the market cap for Bitcoin, I don't know what it is now, but let's say it's 3 trillion. I think the market cap for silver's 2 trillion. And I could be wrong on this, but I'm within error. It's close. It's enough to be dangerous. So let's say those numbers hold. That doesn't make any sense. How does all the real money have this tiny fraction of value compared to all this other stuff that is ethereal? Does it really have any value? Like a lot of stuff that's over leveraged, overpriced, and overbought. So I just feel like I'm in the right business because I'm dealing in something that's very scarce, especially the precious metals part, because they've always been money, and gold can do something that Bitcoin can't do, and that's exist in the third dimension. I can put it in my hand. Although I like Bitcoin, but again, you get these arguments where Bitcoin's going to demonetize gold. Well, it's not. It's going to do another thing. It's another asset class that can be used. Like right now, if I want to send you $100 in Bitcoin, I just scan your wallet. It's done. And that's confirmed. We have no bank. This is confirmed on the blockchain, and it's forever. It can't be, reversed. And, if I own my Bitcoin, I have my keys, that's my wallet. That's on chain that nobody can access, right? In theory. This is so different than what fiat currencies are. So it's just a fascinating thing to watch unfold. And I didn't think that things would happen this fast that they're happening, but they definitely are. There's an unraveling. I think we're about halfway through the Great Reset decade, which I think 2020 opened up with a bang because they have a timeline. And I don't think everything's going great for them, by the way.
No.
I don't think things are on metric, and that's in large part because people and consciousness was raised, and there's just more people thinking skeptically, which is good. You should always question. You should question everything I say. Don't follow me. Go look for yourself. If you like what I say, back it up with your own thought, and have something that you can prove, or at least work at it. Is always a good place to start. But I think there's more of that mentality than there's ever been, and so that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. People are actually starting to pay attention. And I mean, how long have people been saying to follow the money? And people are really starting to realize that and do that. So, if the governments are actually starting to try to buy up gold and silver, of course, people are going to start pushing in that direction and try to mimic the same thing they're doing, because they know that their own government systems are going to collapse and their own money systems are going to collapse. But, even the whole Bitcoin thing, man, it seems like all these governments are trying to buy up Bitcoin. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe the initial response that they were trying to do was to try to buy up as much of it as possible in the effort to be able to try to control it, or possibly even turn it into like their own variation of income. But, maybe eventually they'll continuously try to get to that point. But, if all these different governments are slowly buying up little bits of Bitcoin, and of course, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to trade this for, materialistic value or materialistic things in order to, keep shuffling it over. I mean, I'm hoping that you don't get to a point where essentially they're able to fully control it and it just becomes another one of those things like gold and silver where, only the certain people that have the ability to control it are able to control it. But maybe at that point, we might be able to create some other form of system that works the same way that Bitcoin essentially works. And maybe it's one of those matters that it doesn't necessarily matter which particular income you're using. It's mainly just what people actually want to put self-value in, because when you're talking about these digital things, it's a lot more different than like the physical aspect, because it's not something you can touch. So it's, in the most literal sense, only the things have value that people actually decide to put value in. So, if we ever get to a point as a society that they end up buying up all the gold, all the silver, all the Bitcoin, if we just stopped playing on that system and started going back to trading and bartering with like bottle caps or whatever the hell else we wanted to use, I mean, that's definitely the system we could be living in, because, that solid piece of, metal, that solid piece of, whatever you happen to have in front of you, I mean, it only has the value, I guess, that you could do with it. But when you get to a point where, you can basically just trade your time and effort for whatever you're trying to switch over. I mean, we could essentially even get out of that system if they eventually find a way to control that too, because it seems like it's inevitable that these systems are going to collapse, and that is going to become like the main means of income again. But of course, they're going to try to push for the digital because they want, again, people to not have that physical, tangible anything anymore.
Well, I agree with that. And they've tried many different ways. I think at the end of the day, human beings, and that's why communism doesn't work. It worked for a while for the elites that run it for a while. They're always backed by the richest people in the world, by the way. Little side note of history. Communism is always funded by the wealthiest of the wealthy. But they make these systems and they're defunct. They're meant for an enslavement system. I think that's what the Soviet Union was like a proto-globalist model. And they're trying to get people to buy into it, and people didn't buy into it, and it eventually collapsed under its own weight. Because human beings want to go create stuff. That's where we're made in God's image. God's a creator. And so we're supposed to create and do things. Doesn't mean you have to have your own business, but you could be the best of whatever. You make something, and you make something better. And then you can improve your situation that you're in. That's the point of it, of living, to make the world a little bit better, or, express yourself in what you're doing. And I think that's human nature. It's built into us. I don't believe in somebody like Yuval Harari, who was, the guy who wrote Sapiens, and he's just this psychopath that works the World Economic Forum. He's like, man is a hackable animal. No, he's not. It's not. We're made in God's image, and we do have a purpose, and we're creators by nature. And I remember being in Iraq. It's 23, is my third foreign war, and stuff's on fire. I just gotten there. the Mosul had fell. So we rolled in the day Mosul fell, and I took over the Iraqi Republican Guard barracks. And I went out on just to go on patrol. We didn't know what the hell was going on, and had no mission. It's a bizarre, piece of history that I lived through. And I remember this Iraqi kid came up to me, and it's like 100 and something degrees, and he has a little box, and he pulls out, and he's got ice, and he's selling bottled Pepsis. I hadn't had a Pepsi, and I hadn't had a soda in weeks, I've been in Kuwait, and it's, living in Kuwait's like, try walking around blowing a hairdryer in your face. That's what it's like. It's like you just, everything is really hot, and you can't hardly breathe. It's a desert. And I got there, and then people just setting up. These are the bravest entrepreneurs I've ever seen in my life. And they're just, a lot of them were Turkish kids or Kurdish kids, and people from all walks of life. And they're still making things. Stuff's burning. And I thought, wow. And I always go back to that, people, what's going to be like, they do this or that and the economy collapses. I'm like, people will still, it's just part of what we do. And I think finding a means to transmit value between us has always been an important part of having civilization work. So fiat currency does a terrible job at that because, again, it promotes things that shouldn't exist. It funds wars that shouldn't go on. It funds politicians that never should have gotten there, or entertainment, or buildings that shouldn't have gotten built. And free market and sound money fund things that actually should, because it's based off of real economics and real risk and other things. So I just try to err on the side of, hey, I'm going to look at history as my guide. And I believe that, I'm right, and that, these fiat systems are corrupt. And I'm going to do everything I can to live my life outside of that. So I think there will always be, physical precious metals to trade in. Even look, the FDR had an executive order in April 1933. It's like, turn your gold in, and a lot of people did. But I buy those gold coins every single day that people didn't. Those pre-1933 gold coins. I love that. Every time I see one, I start laughing. I'm like, yep, there's another. Somebody's grandpa was like, I'm not doing that. Exactly. Because the gold was $20 an ounce. He told you to turn it in. And then they raised the price to $35 an ounce once they felt like they had enough. And a lot of that gold went to the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, which was always the play. And they raised the price. So that may happen. And, governments will always do whatever they're going to do. When it comes to Bitcoin, I think, and this is just my opinion, I have no evidence of this, I think they ran the simulations and said, we got to get out in front of this thing as some sort of steerage, or it's going to overtake us eventually, or we're not prepared for the fallout if this thing continues to be this decentralized medium where people can get into it outside of the stock market, outside of their bank. Nobody's debanked in Bitcoin. You want to go download an Exodus wallet. That's on the blockchain. You had your 12 phrases, you got your 12 words, you're done. That's as simple as that. You own your Bitcoin, and no one can tell you that you can't have a wallet. That technology exists right now. I think they've just run the simulations enough to where they're like, we got to that's why the BlackRock ETF, I think, was so important. Not that I support it, but it gets average, people that were just investing and want to dabble and don't understand Bitcoin, they get into Bitcoin. So I thought that was a huge, whatever that is. And then you have, Larry Fink from BlackRock walking around saying Bitcoin's going to go to 700,000. He's saying that in Davos. And I'm thinking, okay, so Larry Fink says Bitcoin's going to go to 700,000. And I did the math, and I'm like, oh, that means that it would have the same market cap as gold. So there's all these weird little things they throw out there. I'm like, so why that number? Stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, the fiat system and everything that's built since 1971 is going to have to be reset. Again, they call it a great reset, whether that's revelation of the method or the same principle of, you have to accept it karmically. They told you, and something like that on a spiritual level. But there's going to be There's going to be, there is a transference of wealth, the likes of which we've never been seen before on this planet. It's happening in real time. And I'm privileged to be able to talk about it. I don't have all the answers, but I do think that you're better off studying this. You know, if you want to live a better life, I think you're better off studying this and understanding it than if you didn't.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, at least the good news, at least kind of going into what you were mentioning about when they tried to essentially trick people into selling them all of their gold and their silver. The good news is with Bitcoin that it seems like the majority of the people that exist in that market are already anti-government system to begin with. So, you know, as soon as they try to reach out and do something like that, it seems like that's going to be the exact time that everybody pulls everything a little bit closer to their chest. So hopefully it's a matter of, we've gotten to a point where there's so much information out there. There's people that don't even want to be aware of this stuff that are already kind of hearing at least little whispers of things. You know, if there's enough information that's getting thrown out there, hopefully people will become aware enough that history won't end up repeating itself, because we'll all be able to push against it as soon as we start seeing these steps of it starting to repeat itself, especially when it comes to any of these currency systems. You know, these are some of the most important things to make sure you pay attention to every finite detail of it. And if you see the market start to shift, you know, you got to get ahead of it before the market gets way ahead of you and you're stuck in the same spot that you are currently trying to catch up when you're never going to inevitably catch back up to it.
Exactly. And if you price things in gold, like if you price the S&P 500 against Bitcoin, it's like, whoa, the S&P 500 did not do well. Or if you price it in gold, it's like, wow, I did better just holding gold. You know, some of it's just a big magic trick. You know, we watch The Wolf of Wall Street, you know, with Matthew McConaughey's character. It's like, it's a fugazi, it's fugazi. You know, like it's not weird. You know, so, you know, it's funny. I hear this all the time from people. They're like, oh, Bitcoin is just getting people used to digital currency because they're going to usher in the CBDC. I'm like, well, if that was the goal, they screwed up really bad, because you've created this subculture of young people that are like, hey, I know what the Fed is now. I know what fiat currency is now. I know what debasement is now. And you think those same people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I love your CBDC. Thank you, sir. You know, you think you did. If that is the case, then they just did a terrible, terrible thing. And a lot of people said, oh, they're going to buy all the Bitcoin and they're going to sell it. It's going to destroy the price. I don't see that either. I mean, there's just too much in it now. Whatever it is, for good or ill, which I think good, if it continues on its current modality, I think it's a good thing for the planet. And it goes right along with gold and silver. A lot of these, you know, they may need Bitcoin for something. It may be maybe they have to have it for something. I don't know. Maybe it's the stable coin valuation or something, but I don't know. It's a fascinating time to be alive. It's a lot of peril. There's pitfalls and tripwires everywhere, but I think opportunity too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I mean, just to point this out, man, talk about how weird it is that in your lifetime, and even in my lifetime, because I mean, I'm assuming, you know, you're born in 1979, I'm 1994. I mean, we've already seen this whole idea of everything being physical going into digital, and we never thought that it would shift this quick. I mean, just even back 90s, early 2000s, like it wasn't to the point that it was now. Like never in a million years did I ever think that we'd ever usher in this digital age where there's no physical copy of anything, let alone now we've even established a point where you're creating these currency systems that also, again, have no physical component of it. But if we are going to exist in this world, which regardless, I feel like we're inevitably going to get to this point, it's a good thing that the people as a whole are the ones that are controlling the main currency system rather than the governments. And that's one thing that people always have to keep in mind, man, is that's like that one that got away from them. You know, if they would have came up with that idea first, they would have been all over it. But I think it's one of those things that naturally happen within the community. And now it's one of those things that's out of control and they can't do anything about it. And as much as they want to, like you mentioned, you know, it ushered in this new generation that's aware of all of these different financial systems. So, you know, now it's almost like Pandora's box. It's been open and they're trying to pack it back in, but you know, it's never going to happen the same way that they thought or they hoped it would. I mean, even with all the COVID stuff, same thing, you know, they played their cards too soon and now they're screwed. The Pandora's out of the box, you know? Inquiries of All Reality will return after this quick commercial break.
Yo, it's the Cruise Show. If you've been injured in a car accident, a slip and fall, a work incident, or even an assault, DTLA Law Group is here to fight for you. Visit calldowntown.com.
Or text injury help to 40222. DTLA Law Group has over 40 experienced attorneys and has won over $500 million in settlements. No upfront cost, only pay if you win. Get your free case review right now. Visit calldowntown.com or text injury help to 40222.
That's text injury help to 40222. Injury help to 40222. Text message rates may apply. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
$4 million, 2 days. Play at Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel or Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas for your chance to be a millionaire. Club Serrano members can earn entries by playing through December 1st. Join us for a 2-day finale where one person will win $1 million on November 30th. Then December 1st, 1,300 people will win their share of over $2.5 million. It's the biggest giveaway ever. Only at Yamava, your California to Vegas connection. Details at yamava.com. Must be 21 to enter. Please gamble responsibly.
For over 30 years, Islamic Relief USA has been working together for a better world. From earthquakes and famine abroad to hurricanes and wildfires here at home, we've responded to hundreds of disasters, serving over 7 million people last year across more than 40 countries. But we don't stop at emergency relief. We deliver long-term solutions that transform communities and bring hope to future generations. Our vision, a world free of poverty. Join us at irusa.org and help build a better tomorrow. That's irusa.org.
And we are back. So let's hop right in.
I do think I think they went too fast. And I think their predecessors and the ancestors of this generational wealth, the oligarchs, they were a lot smarter. And they got more sloppy as time went by. You kind of the JFK assassination, masterpiece. 9/11, impressive, but a lot of flaws. And then you go for COVID, wow, that's the best you can do. Like, really? That was the play. That was the lockstep lockdown thing that you put in place to it did a lot of damage, but you also, again, you're right. It's Pandora's box. You opened it up. You can't unsee it. When I think, was it Einstein said, like, once somebody's mind is expanded enough to accept or understand a new realm of ideas or reality, it can't shrink back down. So you're not going to get those people to go back into the box,
Even going in with the whole Charlie Kirk thing, man, it's like nobody on either side believes the main narrative anymore. And this is probably one of the first times in history that even like my dad, who's, watches the basic news, he's fallen into the whole idea of like the pharmaceutical industry. He's completely wrapped up in that. Even he's sitting out here questioning the whole thing, saying like, yeah, that's weird. They were saying this and then they're saying that and then they're saying this. Like, we've issued in a point where even the people that were, just news watching sleepers are now starting to wake up to these ideas. And they're like, all right, yeah, that's weird that they said that in the news, but I heard something different over here now.
Yeah. And again, even normies, they've just pushed too much and they're sloppy. It's like, the transcript of the Robinson guy that was supposedly their patsy they put up, whatever if he's even real, but the conversation that he was having with his significant whatever that is, if you read that, it's just like, this is AI.
Yeah, nobody talks like that. It's like nobody perfectly typed out.
It's like you leave every aspect of the case is covered, where I was, what I did, how I did it, where I'm going. Come on, man. In so many, you could get into, originally in the JFK assassination, they recovered a Mauser, and then it turned into the $12 mail-in order rifle, the Mannlicher Carcano, the Italian bolt-action rifle. So, but originally it was a Mauser. People were like, no, I found a Mauser in the 6th floor, the book depository. And I thought, that's the first thing wow, it's a Mauser? And how weird is that? Like the symbology of it and just everything with that. It just reeks of some sort of psyop and, but they're doing that. That's what it's in your face. And if you accept that, if you're really going along with that narrative, God help you. But that's not really what happened. I don't believe any of it.
No, man. Look how fast a lot of that stuff was suppressed. You saw the videos all over the place. I don't even think anybody's really dived into the fact that I'm pretty sure that with all the different video footage that everybody is showing, just like the JFK thing, it appears like there was two different people in two different locations up on the rooftop. So, I mean, it's one of those things that just like JFK, just like this, you see history repeat itself. And the second time it repeats, you're like, all right, well, why does this seem like it's just like this? And also, if you look into what these people were talking about, it's all stuff that's against the CIA. So kind of weird that they would take an interest and all of a sudden something happens to these people. And I mean, I've been even pointing out the fact, 2 birds, 1 stone, man. You go after Charlie Kirk, and you had everybody starting to team up to start trying to get information on Epstein. And then as soon as this happens, you get the sides to split again. And then as soon as the sides are split again and one side wants to blame the other, then you start throwing out this montage of information where it's like, here's the guy in a Trump shirt. Here's the guy talking to his maybe boyfriend, maybe girlfriend. Here's some clear photo clipping when it comes to adding the Trump design onto the guy's shirt. So it's like, you see all these calling cards, and now, again, it seems like everybody's aware of the calling cards, so now they're just trying to throw more stuff out, and it's just, essentially, they're just turning it into this cluster of information where I feel like they had a different purpose for it, and now they're basically just trying to throw as much as they can on it so that nobody knows which direction to go, and then bury it, because it clearly didn't work in the way that they intended it to.
The blowback from this, I think, from the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I didn't, follow. I was on the same station as Charlie for a while out of San Antonio, and I would have loved to have talked to him. I don't think I'd agreed with a great deal of his politics because, especially originally, but he's a kid. He's a kid. I mean, he had years. I think he was starting to see some things, especially with Israel and other things, how he was talked to, and just for being skeptical on, should we have a genocide? No, he was pushing back on that, or his, even on some parts of conservatism and stuff. I think he was starting to see a bigger picture, and that was a danger. It's a danger to the establishment of that just cookie cutter narrative that they've used for years that has really done a great disservice to this country. And it's unfortunate. And, the conservative movement in large parts of Paper Tiger, or worse, it's meant to steer you into something disastrous, which it has, whether it's the Iraq War, or all of our foreign adventures or things that we do, our domestic policies, our border policies, all that stuff that has been a misdirection. I think a lot of those days are over, and, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. So interesting time to be alive.
Oh, yeah, man. Ain't that the truth? And I guess with that, man, before we get into the point where, we can tell everybody where they can go and start possibly getting some packages from you, getting their own supply of gold and silver, I first, of course, want to do some words of wisdom. So I know you've been kind of talking some words of wisdom throughout the episode, but if there's any words of wisdom you might want to bestow on the listeners today, man, what might it be?
I would say everything I've learned in my life, and I'm 45, I'll be 46 at the end of the year, is that thoughts that you hold in your head and your subconscious and the things that you tell yourself, they become real. And that's the magic of life. It truly is. Like all of this that I've done, and I have a small piece. I don't have a giant empire, but I have a small piece. And everything that I have is a thought. So what you think thoughts become things. And that's not just woo-woo, that's real. And that's the magic that every human being has. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're a special person if you create something. That's what you're supposed to do. So be careful what you let in your mind. Be careful of the people that you listen to. Be careful of the limitations that you put on yourself. Because what you think about, you bring about. So the importance in this realm and all of the stuff on this timeline, it's more important than ever to be a soldier at the gate of your mind. Only take in things and believe things that are true and beautiful and that serve you and others. Because if you let them capture you in this psyop or whatever it is, and everything's bad and nothing's real, and that's nihilism, and ultimately it's death. So I think that it's important to hold on to that thought that we're created in God's image, and that we can create by what we believe in, and it becomes manifested, it becomes reality.
As Terrence McKenna once said, if you don't follow your own dream, you start to become part of somebody else's. So
you're correct. You're an
definitely
NPC.
Some words to live by, man. Hold on tight, guys. This is our last break, so stay tuned.
Many people think they're covered until they find out that they're not. Every year, millions of insurance claims are denied, not because people did anything wrong, but because policies are confusing and full of hidden gaps. That's why they built My Policy Advocate. Their platform reviews your current insurance, highlights risks, and explains everything in plain English. No selling, no pressure, just education and transparency. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit mypolicyadvocate.com and take control today.
I know you're listening to me right now wearing glasses and contacts. I used to be one of you, and I myself had LASIK 20 years ago, and I still see better than 20/20. I'm Dr. Avi Surudi, an eye surgeon and a LASIK expert, and I'm so proud to be offering you the brand new WaveLight Plus Z LASIK procedure. With this amazing technology, I'll even guarantee you with 20/20 vision or give your money back. Call 310-474-2010, 310-474-2010.
Many people think they're covered until they find out that they're not. Every year, millions of insurance claims are denied, not because people did anything wrong, but because policies are confusing and full of hidden gaps. That's why they built My Policy Advocate. Their platform reviews your current insurance, highlights risks, and explains everything in plain English. No selling, no pressure, just education and transparency. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit mypolicyadvocate.com and take control today.
And we are back to the show. So let's hop right in. And if anybody possibly wanted to come and check out Wise Wolf Gold and Silver, they possibly wanted to figure out how to, start maybe collecting some monthly packages, get some stuff sent to them. Where can people come and get some information on all the stuff you do? And where can people get some information on all of your different stuff you do as far as gold and silver goes?
Well, easy to find. You can go to my website is tony.gold. You can find me there. That's my personal website for my shows and links to my podcasts, and you can message me there. That's easy. So tony.gold. And then I have Wise Wolf, and that's a gold and silver, and we've got 2 locations, one in Missouri, one in Texas, but we serve nationwide. And then we also have the Wolf Pack, which is wolfpack.gold. And that's our subscription service, which is very unique and starting as low as $50. And we pack the packages, send you metals direct to your door. And like clockwork, I got close to 1,400 people all over the U.S. that buy from me automatically. And we just love to have those people that keep me busy. I'm always trying to find new products and interesting items to put in there. So wolfpack.gold, and you can use a promo code 1776 if you heard me here. You get some free silver if you are interested. And you can also do one-time stuff. You can do one-time. You don't have to sign up for the recurring, but anything that anybody ever needs on precious metals, not hard to get a hold of me. I got a great team. I got people, but if you ever ask for me, you can get directly with me.
And man, with all the prices of everything going up, man, it's never a bad thing to, not necessarily turn over your entire income into gold and silver, but at least, get yourself a little pocket so that you have a rainy day fund where if anything happens, you at least have enough that you can take that, you can get away, you can get somewhere if you need to, you could possibly trade along the path for it. So you don't need a giant pile, just a little bit of something just to possibly get you through if you need it. Just that rainy day fund. And if all else fails, if nothing ever happens, you, again, have some money that's maintaining its value, and you could turn it over one day and get something you might need in the future. But, at least it'll maintain its value, and you'll have that rainy day plan.
That's the plan anyway. I have a little bit left, just a little bit to work your way through a system if it collapses. And if not, you got some great savings.
Exactly. Well, man, I appreciate you making the time to come on today. I appreciate you taking the time to break all of these concepts down because it hasn't been something that we talked about too much on the show. But I definitely love to have you back on in the future. I know there's a million different directions we could also go in. You were talking about hidden history and everything, and I know we could definitely dive into that one for hours. But again, man, I appreciate you making the time to come on, and I'm looking forward to the next time we get to chat.
So am I. Thank you.
If anyone would like to get in touch with me for any reason whatsoever, you guys can do so through email, which is inquiriesofourrealitypodcast@outlook.com, or through social media. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are the ones that I'm the most active on. Or you guys can also get a hold of me through the submission form, which is up at the top of the link tree. And the last way you guys can get a hold of me is by calling or texting the Bizarre Reality Media hotline 24/7, and that number is 313-364-1551. And if you happen to miss that or anything else, it is all available down in the show description off of the link tree. And with that, hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Hope today's show has connected some dots in your own reality. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good night, everybody.
Reality isn't what it seems. I'm Dr. D's taking aboard a craft with a tractor beam. It's like a simulation or an astral dream? Aliens travel through black holes in different galaxies. Life is a bizarre odyssey, with a mic talking about philosophy. Well, Bigfoot is stalking campers as a Wendigo walks through the woods of sharpened antlers, using Ouija board to talk to the dead like a necromancer. There's so many questions and not enough answers. So if you're interested in mysteries and abnormalities, tune in and listen to Inquiries of Our Reality. So if you're interested in mysteries and abnormalities, tune in and listen to Inquiries of Our Reality.
I know you're listening to me right now wearing glasses and contacts. I used to be one of you, and I myself had LASIK 20 years ago, and I still see better than 2020. I'm Dr. Avi Surudi, an eye surgeon and a LASIK expert, and I'm so proud to be offering you the brand new WaveLight Plus Z LASIK procedure. With this amazing technology, I'll even guarantee you with 20/20 vision or give your money back. Call 310-474-2010, 310-474-2010.
Enter to win tickets to the Cost Holiday Party. Go into the Guerrero display at Smart & Final by November 19th. No purchase necessary to win. Looking for tortillas that taste just like homemade? Try Guerrero Riquísimas flour tortillas. Soft, thin, and with a light buttery flavor, they're perfect for tacos, wraps, and everything in between. Made with authentic ingredients and trusted by families everywhere. Pick up Guerrero Riquísimas today because great meals start with great tortillas. Guerrero Riquísimas, where every bite brings you home.
$4 million, 2 days. Play at Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel or Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas for your chance to be a millionaire. Club Serrano members can earn entries by playing through December 1st. Join us for a 2-day finale where one person will win $1 million on November 30th. Then December 1st, 1,300 people will win their share of over $2.5 million. It's the biggest giveaway ever. Only at Yamava, your California to Vegas connection. Details at yamava.com. Must be 21 to enter. Please gamble responsibly.
Enter to win tickets to the Cost Holiday Party. Go into the Guerrero display at Smart & Final by November 19th. No purchase necessary to win. Looking for tortillas that taste just like homemade? Try Guerrero Riquísimas flour tortillas. Soft, thin, and with a light buttery flavor, they're perfect for tacos, wraps, and everything in between. Made with authentic ingredients and trusted by families everywhere. Pick up Guerrero Riquísimas today because great meals start with great tortillas. Guerrero Riquísimas, where every bite brings you home.
Make your reservations, pack your bags, and break out your crown. It's the Party Like a Royal New Year's Eve celebration, only at Atlantis Paradise Island. With DJ producer duo Two Friends, a surprise musical guest, and Ariana Madix of Love Island USA hosting, it's a party fit for royalty. Plus, epic fireworks at midnight and a late-night set from DJ Webstar. Tickets start at $399.99. Save 15% when paired with a resort stay. Visit AtlantisBahamas.com to book now.
For over 30 years, Islamic Relief USA has been working together for a better world. From earthquakes and famine abroad to hurricanes and wildfires here at home, we've responded to hundreds of disasters, serving over 7 million people last year across more than 40 countries. But we don't stop at emergency relief. We deliver long-term solutions that transform communities and bring hope to future generations. Our vision, a world free of poverty. Join us at irusa.org and help build a better tomorrow. That's irusa.org.
Hello?
Hi, Greg. We're trying to process a refund to your account, but first, you need to confirm your social security number.
Wait, what? Who are you?
Scammers are getting harder to identify because they use your personal information to mimic businesses you trust. But how do they even get your info? Your data is out there, but you can take control. CalPrivacy is working hard to make privacy easy. Learn how to protect your data at privacy.ca.gov.
Rancho Simi Insurance Agency, family-owned and operated, serving Simi Valley and surrounding areas since 1980. Rancho Simi Insurance proudly offers Mercury insurance for auto, home, and business, including earthquake and umbrella policies. Quotes available online at ranchosimiinsurance.com or at 805-581-2128. That's 805-581-2128. As seen on TV, ranchosimiinsurance.com.
Lowe's knows that saving is always top of mind, especially this season. That's why we've picked some great deals for early Black Friday. Get free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit. More tools? Why not? Plus, we've got select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $59.98 because it's never too early to think Christmas. Get Black Friday prices without the crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
Rancho Simi Insurance Agency, family owned and operated, serving Simi Valley and surrounding areas since 1980. Rancho Simi Insurance proudly offers Mercury insurance for auto, home, and business, including earthquake and umbrella policies. Quotes available online at ranchosimiinsurance.com or at 805-581-2128. That's 805-581-2128. As seen on TV, ranchosimiinsurance.com.
At Lowe's, this Veterans Day and every day, verified military members, veterans, and their spouses get automatic silver status in My Lowe's Rewards with free standard shipping, plus 10% off eligible purchases with no annual limit. It's one way we honor and give back to those who have served and still do. Learn more now at lowes.com/military. 10% discount can't be combined with another offer. Exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.